Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I should not have started on the middle of the road, but what to see, I love that poster. Trodden. Fair enough. I imagine that's been taken out because, you know, we haven't got the rest of it. Yeah, I think I might have made a minor miscalculation in terms of when I was supposed to actually head out. I promised that I would loop around the exact same route that I had last time, just so, you know, because my comment section requested it. And, you know, ask and you shall receive. It's probably the third time I'm going to do that, because if I get a habit of doing that, then someone can probably just, you know, find a way to track me down or something. So, yeah, I'm heading off in the exact same direction as I did before. So yeah. My, has it been a week? It's been interesting because, well, I mean, first of all, I'll say this: we actually managed to film part of the next episode of Drama Club. Oh, yeah, sure. This is exactly what I was talking about before.
What are we doing?
Oh, I'm filming a thing called Walking Wednesday. It's when I just give a weekly update of what's been going on in my week every Wednesday.
What's been going on Wednesday?
Yes, for YouTube.
What's your YouTube channel?
Jacob Butter.
Butter?
Yeah.
But like food?
Yes, like the food.
Jacob?
Yeah. I get that all the time.
Butter.
Yep. Alright, well, thank you. Alright. See ya, take care. Oh, my word. Yeah. Okay, so clearly this was a good idea. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. We managed to film Drama Club. Well, at least part of it. See, we've had a bit of a downtime in terms of actually, if you missed the last editions of Walking Wednesday, I've talked about this briefly. Actually, not so briefly. I had a whole dedicated episode about this fact. But, yeah, last episode took a little bit of a toll on Aiden. And now, actually, I've seen the episode itself. And I'm pretty sure the video I saw was edited quite significantly down, because I was told, well, actually they say in the video that it took about 20 minutes to actually, you know, show up there. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, so actually, no, yeah, so times it was fast to show up in the actual, the next scene, because we split off at one point. If you haven't seen the episode, basically what happens is that the group splits off. My group has a mission, Aiden's group essentially cleans up the room, doesn't really do much. Unfortunately, and now I kind of saw what the problem was. I suspected it to begin with, but basically they had no objective. The reason our scene worked, the one that I was in, was because we were on a quest, and we also worked in some stuff that we overheard. Hello! Well, what stuff that we overheard. Pretty sure they called me a Wally, but whatever. We worked in some stuff we overheard, and we actually, I think they're still trying to. Can't hear you. Wrong side. Okay, there we go. Now you're in. Yeah. Bravo. Okay, I've lost my train of thought again. This is very easily going to backfire on me, this idea. Well, I can say I fulfilled my promise from last week. You know, it's not like I'll run into the same people that actually requested it, but yeah, who knows. So, oh God, what was I saying? Yeah, so we worked in some stuff that we actually overheard in the other scene as it was going on, because we were doing like that walking bit and such. And so we actually had a goal in mind. That's really what it boils down to. You know, improv can work without any objective or something, but everyone eventually is going to try and steer the narrative in some sort of direction. So if you steer that in the narrative in a direction first, then you manage to avoid the issue of all that boredom, turn out the boredom that you have at the beginning, or the uncertainty. And when you're watching an actual series, that makes a world of difference. They're preparing for some sort of Christmas song or something. They all seem to know the words. Right. What was I saying? So that's really what helped, because in the actual scene, now that I've seen it, yeah, I mean, Aiden did hide his distress pretty well. More so than behind the scenes, I'll say, because those outtakes that I uploaded, they are not the full picture. I will tell you that much. But despite that, I saw the issue. I was told that that Miss had called the class boring due to through the mouth of Tori, because I found that out in the actual scene. But I realised part of the issue is that Miss, as that authority figure character, is not very active. Because she said a bunch of stuff like, "Oh, you guys can do whatever you want. You know, you go ahead and think of something. You know, do something." And the problem with that is that, I mean, some of them might have been a drama club to begin with, but also in pretty much all drama clubs, it's the teacher who dictates the activities. I mean, I'll say this much. I was in the same drama club for 6 years. And in those 6 years, any chance there was to take a break and goof off and just, you know, have a run around or a chat with your friends and such, it was taken. Sometimes even during the improv rehearsal bits that we actually would do. Not really to much of an extent, because, you know, we had a scene to deliver. We had actually work to do something. In which case, I will say, the literal children that were in that club were far better and more disciplined than some of my secondary school friends in actual drama GCSE lessons. So there you go. Anyone who's watching from that drama club, a salute to all of you and a shout out, because yeah, you definitely did prove that you can do both to some extent. But still, there was a lean in that direction, so they need some sort of prompt. Otherwise, you know, what's the point? In the case of that drama club, it wasn't with a school, so the case would be, what were you paying for? And in case of school ones, why are you staying behind? You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, really, it does boil down to teachers to do something, or be like, oh yeah, do whatever. But of course, because of the character, that's not really possible. So that's an imbalance that will need to actually be addressed. And I think I have a way of doing that. I'm not going to spoil it, but because Aiden never managed to actually either mentally prepare himself for it, or actually make or maybe like have the time to do it or something, I ended up drafting the next episode. So yeah, anything that happens on a story structure manner next time in the next episode will in fact be on me. So just a heads up there, essentially. Right. But in terms of actual filming, I say we overfilmed this because yeah, we did one scene. Our issue currently is scheduling conflicts, because it seems that particular Sunday was fine for some people, but then others just did not notify they would not be around. I mean, some of them also said that, you know, the schedule changed ever since then, but others just did not say anything at all, which, again, not very helpful. Tell you what, they're all running for. Lights are red. Anyway, let's so yeah, that's what those drama covers where we're at right now. So we don't know. We might be filming today or something. Who even knows? Although today I have another thing that I need to address, which of course is the Music Girl Christmas special, because I said the deadline for auditions to do with that was, well, today. So By the end of today, if you have not auditioned to become Sebastian or Alexa, you will not be in it, or you'll not be able to get the chance. So, you know, get onto that, please. So, as for everyone else, I have also been trying to claim other lines. I've said, oh yeah, you got it, and stuff like that. Yeah, I haven't got them. I've been delivered Sad Boy Felix, and also Nova actually managed to salvage the recording that she did, like, you know, 2 years ago. So that was definitely an improvement. Yeah. So well, I mean, actually, I said it's an improvement. I'm sure it will be, because I haven't actually seen the second version. That's the thing. Nova is usually somewhat absent, always busy, but will always like find time dedicated to voice acting, or will at least tell you and update what's actually happening. So really, you know, I'm glad that the main character of this long-running show happens to be a model example of how the voice actors really, you know, should actually keep me up to speed. So, but actually, yeah, there's some other times I'll find out that somebody has actually changed their Discord username, which actually happens more often than you think it does. Pretty much the voice actor of Kylie, she just changes her username like all the time, and it is so hard to track her down, and also really hard to credit her, because with a constantly changing username, it almost seems like the character's being played by several people. It's kind of like OG Julius, and to some extent, but just like amped up to the nth degree. Because, you know, while the first episode, OG Julius is credited as Batnananan, which was his Discord username at the time, then he changed his, then I changed it to Spartan Gaming, that's what his YouTube thing was called. And now, he's actually made somewhat of a return to Demon Girl Saves the Underworld, and he is known as Adriano Chiledano. So, yeah, they're all the same person. It seems like 3 different actors. In the case of Flowers / mainly MCYTs / Risk Games / I don't know / whatever. It's hard to say. Oh my, I'm running out of memory. Hold on a second. I had to free up some space. Hold on a second. I will carry on. Okay, and we're back. Sorry, I had last week still on there, so now I have a full normal recording space time in between. I will have to probably summarize that. What else has happened this week? Oh yes, Minecraft Adventures. So what was happening during the last episode of Drama Club was that I, of course, also had a little bit of an issue with the episode, because BB told me that I should just, you know, keep the camera on, essentially, and just, you know, just keep rolling everything, which honestly did work for the bloopers. However, I ran out of recording space, my computer got disconnected, and so that's why there's like a weird, like, blackout moment that Lester suffered through, which, yeah, I failed to account for in the last episode. I'll say that much. I wonder, should Lester be aware that he's doing those blackouts or not? It's happened in 2 episodes consecutively now. So, yeah, you know what? Vote in the comments. Should Lester be aware of his blackouts or not? And if not, how does he find out? I say that, I'll probably make a community post as well, just to get that engagement going. Speaking of engagement, yeah, Drama Club, particularly the latest premiere, it actually seems to be getting a lot of engagement from people, particularly in terms of like characters. Because Ghost Kitty was like, oh yeah, Damon's my favourite character and such. To which I say, yeah, Damien's amazing. But also like, then afterwards, after a while, it's been like, okay, all the Drama Club characters get to my favorite character box. So it's like, yeah, clearly we're doing something right. And if anything, we're going for a bit more of a wholesome approach than, dare I say, Ice Cube usually veers into. I'm no expert, but yeah. I reckon that usual brand of chaos is still not present, which might be why BB is so keen on, you know, the series not being so boring. I think she's just used to the insanity now. Which is interesting, because I think Aphmau, again, going back to her, drew a very good balance between those two ideas. Because, yes, Aphmau's content was very, very bizarre and very crazy, especially towards like the earlier days, or I guess to say like the mid days, like 2014, 15, 16 Aphmau, you know, that time where it really was just a case of, you know, utter insanity sometimes. But fun insanity, and wholesome insanity too, and structured insanity, more importantly. Because that's really what it boils down to. Because obviously, unlike with us, Aphmau at that particular time was only using NPCs usually, and was, you know, had the whole thing by Jason and such. Which is interesting because actually, you know, for the days of Challenge Accepted Inc., that wasn't really the case. That was, it was very much kind of what the Butter Bunch is now. You know, the four of them, you know, doing things. I mean, Aphmau was always the main person recording, and the main perspective person, so that's the difference, really. But yeah, otherwise, definitely, definitely, it seemed like it was, from the outside, one might think it's a step back, but I say not really. Just because you still get an insight into essentially how Jess's brain works interacting with itself as the main writer of My Street, and also the best way to actually, you know, form a code and actually make that work, obviously. So yeah, it's very much so yeah, very much I think it's because it had to be scripted, but that also meant that it had to have a direction. Yes, there were occasional scenes, you know, Aphmau's gone back and actually reacted to these herself on stream, but there were occasional scenes that went on forever, like, you know, the times she was setting up, you know, touring around the house in the first episode of My Street. You know, the classic, oh, here's the kitchen, let's analyze everything in here. Here's the bedroom, let us unpack, in this case. And by the way, thanks Kenny for picking up the room before I did, and stuff like that. You know, and oh no, you know, of course, that led to Poster Senpai, so I'm not complaining. Or I guess the second appearance of Poster Senpai. Which, by the way, if Aiden has asked me if the big move is still canon, or whether it should be considered as non-canon because of how, again, how utterly bizarre and structurally insane it is. To which I say, there is a line in episode 1 of My Street that states, and I quote, "I'm sorry that I took you down. Aaron and I couldn't let Aaron find out about our forbidden love." So, and that of course happens. We see that scene take place in the big move. So yeah, that is, it kind of has to happen then. So yeah, sorry about that. Shadow Knight Lawrence remains. So yeah, obviously not everything in My Street, even to this day, is fully accounted for. I say to this day, I did the last episode of 5 Years Later that I did, which was yesterday, was a review of Her Wish, episode 1, which, yeah, now that I think about it, it actually is very much there was a lot that was already decided by that point. Particularly, you know, Aaron's curses and, you know, everyone returning. The stuff with you know, all the twists and such. I think maybe Falcon Claw University was when Avnar started thinking about like building up mystery for these kind of things. Particularly because the Ian twist, while it came out of nowhere, and that was fine, you can do that. Maybe it would have been better, some people would have been able to find out something. To which I say, that's kind of interesting, because Musical Season 2 was like that as well. It revealed the twist halfway through, and then the mystery revelation at the end was basically the how. I feel like the reason I suck at writing mysteries is because I never end up going into the who, really. I'm more or less going to the how. That's the part I find most fascinating, usually. I don't know if that's just reflecting me watching Mysteries Wrong this whole time, and me obsessing over Poirot for years has not paid off in the way that I thought it was going to. I can probably psychoanalyze myself sometime later, I reckon. For now, I will say, if the light is red, I shouldn't cross yet. Oh, no, it's green. Okay. And people think I don't look at the traffic. Ha! Ha! I say to all of you. Anyways, back to what I was saying about, yeah, so Afmal drew that balance between decorating the structure. I think BB has actually asked, is there any way to determine a middle ground between those ideas? To which I say, yes. It's kind of like what Afmal did. But in the case of a Minecraft improv thing, I reckon it's probably what episode 1 was more like, essentially. Filming the filming scenes separately, cutting between them instead of just having like one massive go. Particularly if you're doing what we're doing and you're having multiple perspectives and frequent separations or individual scenes per episode. You kind of need that to work so that the audience actually have an excuse to watch. If I can go back and mention a disgraced YouTuber name for a second, not to overshadow my past, but back in the days when I was watching mainly just Sky Does Minecraft, the main content that I watched of him was parkour maps, adventure maps, and stuff like that, which he filmed with his friends. You know, so I was like, oh, yeah, that's a funny video, fantastic. You know, leave a like and all that stuff, and then carry on. What I didn't realize until sometime later was that the other people in the videos were also YouTubers. I didn't really like clock onto what, you know, terms like channels and subscription stuff like meant at the time, really. But what I did do was realize halfway through that I'm actually going through a different route than last time. I didn't actually veer around properly. So whoops. But anyways, what I realized, so I checked out some other perspectives, and sometimes it works because, you know, on parkour maps people tend to, you know, die, and then they have to respawn and go back, and they have different struggles and different paths to complete and such. Sometimes they'll have alternative paths. You know, sometimes they'll have mystery items that they appear in. Sometimes in stuff like Cops and Robbers, they're all trying to escape, and obviously the mad part is that they actually is that they're all having different methods, and the warden has to try to control everyone at once. So you can watch those diverging paths there and get a different experience. Of course, when you're doing a role play, and you factor in stuff like, you know, sound traveling, or story beats and such, it doesn't really work the same way. So it does kind of require a certain, you know, scene setup, and ironically, all the stuff I learnt on that film set last year. It's it very much, you know, I can, as much as it was a maddening experience there, and there was a lot of stuff that, you know, seemed horribly inefficient just because there were so few people that were actually there. Particularly, you know, in the location team, which is where I was. Yeah, I very much... Yeah, I very much understand why those things are set up the way they are. Because otherwise, when you can't just follow someone around with a camera for ages, unless you're like Blair Witch or something like that, you know, then it makes sense. But, you know, we formed our entertainment methods for a reason. And if you're veering more towards that style of content, it makes sense, in my opinion, to actually do that. So, so that's the thing. So yeah, there is a place for improv within those parts, but the middle ground is embrace the improv, but also embrace the film set structure. That's the difference, and that to me is the middle ground. Unfortunately, Drama Club is never going to be the epicenter of chaos and spiraling out of control. Partly due to the law that we have set up for it eventually, but partly also due to, you know, who's running it or who's supposed to be in charge, however much he may have neglected that position as of recently, due to the events I've mentioned before. Because that's just not what we're looking for, essentially. You know, as much as we can take inspiration from Ice Cube, we're not Ice Cube. The same way that we're not Aphmau. You know, we're all a mix of the stuff we've been exposed to and think about and embrace into our creative processes. So yeah, sorry to disappoint anyone who might be expecting Drama Club to go down more of a yandere or camp shots or anything mode. I can very much confirm to you, it's not. So I'm just going to head up here. I've not headed up here in several years onto this particular path. I have to find it by accident. See, it's weird because I sometimes would try and go around this particular like path and branch of this town, go to the main centre, but I never actually managed to veer around and find it. I don't know why. And now I have the chance to actually go a little bit further. So since I'm already splitting this video up because I had to, let's go over the other interesting thing that's happened and the other set of requests that I have received. And those are all the requests from people for me to review Pops related gachas. So if you're wondering what that's all about, basically, you know, it's the new thing from Giants. I've moved on from Giants and I'm now onto Pops apparently. So yeah, basically I've been reviewing something. You know, you've seen people in my live chats before, like, you know, Wipeout and Arena Fan 14, Flowerpot 1300, etc. And the thing with them is that, well, of course, I've talked about the live streams that Wipeout does sometimes, and now Flowerpot as well. And those involve essentially sorry, I'm trying to figure out what path I should take from here. So yeah, those essentially, they involve yeah, so they involve role playing the actual events, and then and instructing them, or what's happening now is Flowerpot is trying to figure out how to make a new set of pops to go there. However, because I was told to watch Jazz Pops first in terms of like catching up with everyone else, calculating, and this is a loop. So yeah, I found a skate park and will now immediately proceed to leave it. There's no exit. I am trapped. Oh, there's a play area as well. I'd love to have actually gone down this path a bit more as a kid. Normally we were always going to the right because we were heading out to the big shops and such. All the malls and stuff are down there. So so yeah, we never actually got the chance to really explore too much around here. Oh well, at least I've found the path. Maybe this time I'll pursue this next time, because Lord knows I can't keep in the same route every week otherwise, and the same time, because otherwise someone will track me down. That's kind of the point of me doing different routes, was to avoid that from happening. So prevent that from happening, rather. Oh, I'm going to go down here because I've always wanted to cross to see this bridge. I always cross underneath it. What lies above? So I'm getting way too excited about this. Anyways, so as it turns out, this is not just a gacha trend. Oh, and it's just the railway. Okay. Wow. Childhood dreams crushed. Okay, let's get down from here. Actually, let's head back. You know, I'll head to the town centre next time, if I remember to. So yeah, maybe I'll do it when it's a bit brighter as well, because I don't have to wait to a certain time. Okay, so yeah, I was told that, particularly like during the review from a couple of days ago by Flowerpot, that next episode of Jazz Pops that I watch, it's going to be confusing unless I've watched Super Pops. And I've realised now, Super Pops is not just the original gacha thing that they all took inspiration from, kind of like how Jax took inspiration from the gacha shipper for all the stuff. No, 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 no. This extends far beyond gacha. Super Pops is a totally TV, live-action, original series. And I had no idea that it wasn't originally a gacha thing until yesterday. And does it explain a bit more of what's going on? From watching episode 1 briefly, no! No, it does not! But yeah, I might be watching some live-action stuff. Possibly later today. We shall see. So yeah, Super Pops. Interesting creation. Oh wait, no, actually I had to do a premiere today for 5 years later because I need to catch up. If I have any hope of getting Her Wish out on time, I have 15 other episodes to get through, and oh wait, I don't have enough time in December to do that. Maybe I have to start doing double barrel premieres to get the holiday season stuff in. Or just be late Christmas. Either way, I need to catch up, and that is what I shall do. I watched some more Super Pops too, but I didn't. Yeah, but of course now I realise. Yeah, this is a fandom gacha stuff. This is a fandom gacha trends that I need to actually look more into, probably to understand more of like how this stuff is actually structured. Now I see why a lot of the pops that they're series studios, they have them just appear out of the ether, because everyone watching the videos is always supposed to know what they are. It makes so much sense now. Ah! So, yeah, next time I watch that stuff. But then again, I did have a lot of fun watching Jazz Pops particularly. So, yeah, we'll see. I guess it's kind of like if I actually start doing Aftermath Fandom Gacha like I promised like a year ago. You know, people aren't going to necessarily know all the details. So, I need to make sure I account for that. But yeah, so this is me following requests, particularly for this week. I guess, you know, people get, you know, it's like I said yesterday, it's like the Hydra. you would tackle the head of one of those gacha shows, and then two more pop up asking to review their stuff, which means that I have content on demand for some time now, not just giant stuff from Jax, which is not a problem, but you know, I have enough giants for a bit. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Obviously, I'll get back to his stuff later because I've got a new series coming up and such. So we'll deal with that. We'll deal with all this stuff. Merry Christmas. December stress is just beginning. So please leave a like, or dislike because your opinion matters. Subscribe if you've not done so already. And also, audition if you've not done so already. Deadline is today, so get those lines in, people. And on that note, until next time, farewell.